Welcome to this next episode of YouTube where we are waiting for fall colors. It's that time of the year where we've had a frost advisory and the elderberries and mountain ash berries are nice and ripe and bird activity is increasing and the sun is getting low in the sky and makes for some really nice sunsets, and pretty soon we'll be having some maple leaves turning, so it's one of those nice times of the year for the wolves. It cools off. We are still feeding a little bit of excess food. That's a beaver that went in on Wednesday for bolts. Pretty much Bolts and Denali ate that. We're seeing a lot of good social engagement here, though. Bolts is getting a little bit of a tackle job from Luna, and certainly the two adults are watching, and you can see Bolts' tail's tucked. He doesn't like to be on the bottom focus of the rank order. So, like I said, these two yearlings are kind of pup mates, and as pup mates, they tend to wrestle quite a bit, but the stakes are getting a little bit more intense where those wrestling matches are leading to not just social engagement and play and chasing each other, but actually are meaning something about rank order. So we're watching that. It's interesting here where the two adults just watch the young ones wrestle. Of course, it's one of those hot, humid days where nobody wants to really do anything anyways. But like I said, the intensity can get a little bit much. Luna does not back off. When Bolts is testing a little bit, you see him put a paw on her back. She's not going to take that from him. And so there's a little bit of that transitional struggle where Bolts treats her like a pup mate, and there's times when Luna reminds him that she has more status right now and she is higher ranking than he is. So that makes for a little bit of noise. Luna is, the one thing that we know is when you have a small stature, sometimes vocalization helps, and she's certainly gotten that part down well. Aiden, you can tell things aren't too serious because he's very relaxed. So he's had some really good visits with staff, and this is him in a subordinate posture. I'm filming him, and he'd rather that I just interact, so he does a four-leg stab there, does it to Luna. She's kind of continues to walk away. But the problem for Aiden is when he's in that subordinate posture, it doesn't take very long before Luna tries to assert a little status over him, where she'll actually try to do a standover and stand on top of his head. And Aiden, in good nature, is very relaxed about it. Doesn't do much to stop her. Pushes her away a little bit with a kind of a stiff leg push, or getting a little bit more animated about that four-leg stab, and then decides to get up. We are still kind of dealing with a little bit of issues with Aiden. We're not certain what's up with that belly. It's a little bit, could be more food, but something doesn't seem kind of right there. So we're still doing some observations and some investigation with the vets there on that. Here's Denali just checking out the songbirds who are checking out the berries at this time of the year. And one of the things about mountain ash berries is that they're, after the first two frosts or so, they're a little fermented. So sometimes the birds eat them and get a little drunk and they land on the ground. And so there's always some stimulus going on with birds that are feeding on some of these natural habitat diets. But that's Denali there. And this was actually filmed from inside the window. One thing about my job, going back to school, I have less and less time for casual things like filming, relaxing, kind of sitting around kind of things. Most of my time right now, when I'm down to halftime, is wolf related, trying to make sure that everybody's doing well, that there's no issues. It's really my focus right now. So when I'm looking at this footage, again, most of this footage that you're seeing here is inside the building. You can tell because there's no natural sounds with it, but anyway, so but Denali, he's kind of staying out of the mix, and he's watching Aiden and Luna, and for the most part just enjoying the fall, looking at being stimulated by whether they be birds or whether they be sounds around the exhibit. Certainly looking like he's getting a good winter coat coming back on. As with all the wolves, dealing with the heat, dealing with the humidity is causing them quite a bit of discomfort. But it cools off at night here. That's the one nice thing about this environment, is that even if it's an 80-degree day, we're getting in the 40s at night, and that's good for the wolves, and that keeps them cool. So like I say, it won't be long before our exhibit, which we have a lot of maple represented here, will kind of have a nice red glow. Some beautiful photographs come out of this exhibit in the wintertime or in the fall. And we obviously keep the pond running. We'll keep the pond running until snowfall, but the sun angle is such that it casts some really nice shadows later in the day. So good opportunities to watch the wolves. And we are seeing again here bolts on the bottom. And Luna being most of the dominance, and the two males, adult males, Aiden and Denali, just kind of wagging their tail. I did mention this, I think, last week, but now it's probably 3 weeks ago, I posted some footage of some fairly intense dominance from Aiden on Bolts. Bolts was just pushing and pushing and testing, and finally Aiden, with as much of a tooth jaw spar as he could, put him down. Since then, Bolts has just not been pushing Aiden at all. So he's been actually pretty quiet. Luna, on the other hand, she's been pushing things around, and actually Luna got startled the other day. There was a wild wolf that came kind of through the snow fence and was very close to the outer perimeter fence and kind of scared Luna a little bit. So Luna is not quite as tolerant of some of the things that the males are. She's a little bit, more nervous about some of those outside canids. Here, though, she's pretty relaxed, and if you can make this out, she's sleeping with a deer. That is a deer that they didn't finish. You can see here she's got a pretty full belly. She gorged on that deer, and then I'm not sure if she cached it or if one of the other wolves cached it, but she's going to just sleep with it. She's going to sleep in the wood chips right next to that deer, and those are the ears of that deer there. So she's guarding it, and from what I understand from the staff, she didn't let anyone else over by that deer during the entire day. So this was a post-feeding day. Feedings are on Saturday. This is a Sunday feeding situation, and she just camped out there. A very soft, comfortable place to lie, and that deer was well protected there. But that's Luna, and that's kind of what we're looking at. Luna is actually getting a little bit of a different diet change. We, based on some test results, we're going to try a different tact with her. We actually have her on some commercial canned dog food that has what's called Science Diet JD, and it's a joint supplement, and she's now having canned dog food every day in addition to the beaver, in addition to the deer, in addition to everything else that she gets. And you can actually see her filling out a little bit more, but what we're most concerned about is obviously those joints, and that she has as much nutritional capabilities and as much nutritional help as she can. So anyways, over in Grizzer's world, we cleaned his pond. Things are fairly quiet. We're looking for, again, an opportunity maybe to give him a little bit more stimulus. We're going to probably have to take some of the birch down that have now died, and so that's going to give him a few more trees down, a few more logs. But I think I'm going to try to do a few more enrichment things for him this fall. I'm not sure what they look like, whether they be more things for him to climb on. I do know that he likes to defecate on top of logs, and that's, everybody's got their habits. So might be bringing in a lot more logs and stumps for him. Over in retirement, Shadow and Malik are doing good. Malik, as I reported last week, had a cut on his between his toes. He's healing up pretty well. He still licks it quite a bit, which is probably obviously cleaning it, but it's one of those things where we're not seeing him limp anymore. He's actually moving around pretty well, and it's on the mend. Shadow, on the other hand, hot. We still have some 80-degree days, and boy, they just are miserable. Heat and humidity, so we're dealing with it. But I mentioned previously that Malik doesn't like me much, and that's not a reflection on Malik, not a reflection on me. For Malik's life, every bad event that occurred, I was there. Grizzer went after him, I stopped him. Grizzer tried to drown him in the pond, I stopped him. I am not a positive association for Malik. And then the other added factor is that Shadow is very guarding. He blocks Malik and tries to keep Malik away from me. And now I wanted to make a point. That doesn't mean Malik won't come near me. And this is my hand grooming him. We actually have to start working on getting that fly ointment that we caked on so they wouldn't get bitten by flies is now stuck all over their heads. So we'll be starting to brush him here and try to get that old ointment out of him. But he does allow me to interact with him. But notice how his ears are kind of back. He's watching for Shadow. I'm touching him, and he knows that Shadow is possessive and will block him from interacting with me. So, but I am still good for one thing, and that's a butt scratch. So what's one thing about Malik, I'll always guarantee that he'll be able to back right up to me and present himself so I can scratch his butt. which helps if we're vaccinating from the back end. He actually, like I said, he's got some people he really likes, and so why torment him? Why don't we just let him spend the time with the people he likes? And that's kind of much my philosophy for him. So we make sure Malik has the best care that he needs, and that includes on these hot days, he loves the sprinkler hose. So does Shadow. We're misting the enclosure, and what that does is twofold. We obviously, well, it's probably threefold. It's good for the vegetation. It keeps the vegetation green and growing when we're in this kind of a drought pattern. Second of all, it cools off the wolves. It's just a mist, and it coats their hair. It helps cool them off. And the third thing, it cools off the soil, so it again creates a little coolness, a little radiant moisture that soaks into the soil and helps keep that soil cool. See, Malik did a little jump there. He's lower ranking, and lower ranking wolves are just tend to be a little bit more nervous about things, and so that kind of scared him a little bit. He's going to do a shake there and get rid of that excess water, do a face wipe along the vegetation, and just really enjoy the opportunity to have that hose on a hot day when they've got a winter coat that's advancing every day. The warmer temperatures we have in the fall, the worse they are. So Shadow, on the other hand, he likes to lick it. He doesn't like the mist as much. He would rather that I just ran the hose, and he likes to drink out of the hose. But at this time we were just kind of misting. Again, when you run the hose, sometimes you have a little erosion on the ground, so we were just trying to mist everything down. He got wet too, and he'll stay there for it. But like I said, he likes to drink out of the water hose. So that's it about for wolf care this week, and fall is on the way. Again, I can't wait for the fall leaves when we get some beautiful photos of these wolves in a habitat that we work very hard to maintain. So any other news? I can't think of anything else. Everybody's doing fairly well. We're happy about Luna's again putting on a little bit more weight. We really feel good about that. And this was just a recommendation that we took from the veterinarians to maybe switch her up a little bit. And every other wolf here is gorging and doing quite well on a natural pattern of feeding. Luna, I just don't think she has a metabolism to live that wolf kind of lifestyle, so we're going to feed her every day. So if anybody wants to buy Luna dinner, she's got many things served on her plate on a daily basis. So that's about it. And again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.